Hey, beautiful souls. Happy Sunday. Sending you loving blessings today. I am soaking up the sun, feeling good, real connected right now. That's the word I have. I'm feeling real connected. Um, I'm on here because I am sitting and reflecting on my journey thus far. This period of time has required me to review my journey, and I'm taking it back through this whole year, especially within the since this last spring. And since this last spring, I have been really I committed to approaching life with the eyes of innocence. Um, really letting go of all that I know. Even if I know it, I don't know it. I've told myself I don't know anything anymore. And just starting from this clean slate of just open to learning new, even if it's something that I've done before, relearning it, approaching it in a different way because I have these new eyes right now. And being a student again. I mean, I'm always a student and learning and whatnot, but just consciously, intentionally being a student, and just redoing and reapproaching relationships, reapproaching situations and scenarios and opportunities and everything with just the eyes of innocence. The world has been new again for me, and I believe that is because there was a lot of robbing and disconnection of my innocence as a child. And so, yeah, I won't go into that as right now, but just in having to, like dealing with a lot of these buried emotions as the healing journey will take you through over your years. You just reconnect with a lot of your emotions and reconnect with a lot of your pains and your traumas and all of that. And so it can kind of build up this well of negative emotions and this negative thinking cycle and this negative view of the people in your life, and mistrust of people, and all of this that it just gets overwhelming. You build up, and then it just becomes a part of you, and a way it blocks you as well. And so, that's mainly why we're doing this work, is to get past these barriers, these blockages, these cycles, these patterns, these habits, all of that. Like, that is why we're doing this. And so, for me, I'm very observant, very aware, hyper aware, hypersensitive to myself, and how scenarios and experiences play out to me. So I do the investigation work. Like I say, I go to my pain, and when I'm feeling something, I'm like, why do I feel this way? Where is this stemming from? Where is it coming from? And I go and explore it. I go and uncover it, and I go and to heal it. And that's how I've journeyed, and I use specific different tools to do that. But and it can be quite dramatic sometimes, and I've been sharing my journey along the way, snippets of it through very publicly. So it's been interesting. But in these eyes of innocence, getting back to what I am initially talking about, in these eyes of innocence, um especially this last year, when I really had this opportunity to dive deep. Like, oh my gosh, you guys, it is never, you think that you've healed your, you think that you've reached a certain level and you've healed past things, or you've gotten over things. But wow, I don't, this last year has been, I can't even explain it. Like, it's so surreal, but it's real. uh, but this last year, I really dove in and uncovered my deepest wound, my deepest wound. And I guess I've been searching for this my whole life. Didn't know that I was working to uncovering it, but the more I've gotten into my spirituality and into my healing techniques and really learned how to go there, I have really got to the bottom of my deepest wound, and I started to get um, a lot of anger in my family, and a lot of pain and just frustrations with my family. And so this whole year, I've been just like turned off. Like, I don't want to deal with anybody. I don't want to talk to anybody. Just had this like negative view of a lot of people in my family. And, and I started in a negative view of myself, even too, and how I participated in certain dynamics and how I've allowed certain dynamics to kind of draw me and pull me into my, you know, lower self, if you will, and be reactionary instead of being responsive, even though I know how to be nurturing, even though I know how to, I know what's right. I know that you shouldn't respond or react in this way. You know that, even though I know these things, and I know what I'm capable of, and how to communicate and all of these things, I still reacted. It still didn't respond in love, right? And so, still, and it's just certain situations that came up. So, this whole year, I have got to the bottom of my wound and then started like attacking it, literally going to the people and confronting issues and confronting having these deep and necessary conversations. In some relationships, it's just an ever evolving journey. Like, it's just not going to happen overnight. But some relationships, it was just nip in the bud, but certain relationships, it just is, it's going to be a process, and that's just what it is. And certain relationships just had to be cut and ended, and I'm not going to keep going there. But ultimately, this spring, what I came to terms with is that, you know what? My family, I was into it in my group. I've been expressing my frustrations, expressing my pain, all of this stuff. And we've been sharing our journeys with each other, with our families. But I've been angry, like literally angry and pissed off. But in that time period in the spring, when I had time to just shut it down and just really deal with all that was up for me, I came to terms that my family is perfect for me. My family is perfect for me. Like, that is the words that came to me, just out of the blue. I mean, I can just say out of the blue, divinely given to me to realize, so that I can see that my family is perfect for me. All the lessons that I needed to learn about self-esteem, self-sabotage, addiction, you know, all types of stuff. Like, these people served as mirrors for these themes for me. These people served as the theme, for me to take a look at, so that I can work through it. Like, you're gonna have people in your family who operate on the higher end as a mirror for you, who, say for instance, if it is self-esteem, someone who's gonna be boosting your self-esteem and feeding you that nurturing and loving, that tenderness. And then you're gonna have somebody in your family who is the total opposite, who beats you down, who talks bad about you, who makes you feel insecure. Instead of building your self-esteem, they have served as the person over your years who have said mean things to you, who have just tore you down or made you feel, who kind of picked at that spot of self-esteem. So, it to reframe that in my mind made it easier for me to deal with, easier for me to forgive, easier for me to let go. Because, as you know, forgiveness is not about the other person. It's about freeing ourselves. It's about releasing that, and our family. I feel like this is what our families are for, like we have family to mirror these things for us, these cycles, and it's just going to take that one courageous person, which may be you, to really sit with this, all of it, and think about your journey and your experience with the people in your family, and the whys or your frustrations with particular people in your family, the pain or the traumas that you've experienced from your family, and to sit with it and look at it and see that that was the best thing for you, that was the 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 that's exactly what you needed in order for you to grow, and you take it back all the way to your childhood. And some things are really, really hard to face and sit with, but that was exactly what you needed, and they are who you needed. And so if you have, say for instance, addiction theme that runs in your family that's high, you have alcoholic, or someone who's drug addict, and you see that same pattern in yourself as an adult, and you go back to your childhood and you think about your experiences with this person and how this affected you and whatnot. And we can be very blaming, we can be very angry, we can be very upset, we can be very judgmental. But if you reframe it as that person has their own traumas, that person has their own, it's not their fault. It's not their fault that they're like that. These are cycles, right? We live in this world where it's just the name of the game. We take on this stuff. We learn this stuff. It's learned behavior. We become products of our environment. So it's not their fault, and to have that compassion for them, to have that understanding that they are just playing out. They're playing that role. They're playing out what was played out to them, and look at it from just that lens and just have that deep compassion for them. This is, what has really like become more full bloom, full illumination for me over this last year. It's just like really accepting them for who they are and what that means for you. Like, they have their own process in which they have to awaken to their healing and whatnot, and that's not your responsibility. And I've always felt just this sense of a responsibility to try to change dynamics, change, to save people. I have a savior complex, and that's because when I was younger, I was that little girl who was like, I'm gonna save the world, I'm gonna help heal the world, but knowing and coming to terms with that is just unrealistic. It's one of the mindsets and beliefs that I had to let go of. It's like, it's unrealistic. And the only person that you can save is yourself. And through saving yourself, you save other people. Through transforming yourself, you transform other people. And so just coming to peace with that. But just those words of, my family is perfect for me. All of those lessons, all of those, the themes. Think about the themes that play out in your life and who is mirroring that to you, who is reflecting that same thing for you. And you can go, like I say, I'm the person that goes to it, so I'm gonna go and have a conversation with the person and just really nurture them and really express my frustrations and express my pain and express, how I feel, not blaming, but just taking responsibility for myself. But expressing, because they need to know words have power. You have to get it out, in some way. And for me, having that conversation with the people is very transformative. And so saying, expressing, and then forgiving and saying, I love you. And, I understand where you're coming from. I understand this is something that is beyond you, it's just a pattern that you've learned, and really just really having that nourishing moment for them, and that compassion for them and love for them. And I know I say this and I tell people this all the time, and I get looked at like I'm crazy, but sometimes you got to go a little crazy. Sometimes you got to really go to it. And mind you, some people are not very receptive. The other person is not very receptive of you being so honest and truthful and open, but that's fine. Allow that person to be who they are, meet them where they're at, and just find a really um, kind of healthy, strategic way to approach them. And if that doesn't work for you, if that is not your approach, try something else. Journal about it, you know. It just has to get out, and it just even if it's just that simple fact of knowing that your family is perfect for you, that's enough too. So um yeah, I felt called to share this today. It's been on my heart for a while to share, and I guess it just wasn't time, and now it's time for me to share that with others, and maybe it'll be maybe it will be some some medicine, some medicine for you, and um, yeah. So just remember that even when you think your family is like the worst people on the planet, or they are just, you want to say you have all this language to describe them, but really they're here to serve for your highest. They're here for your highest. They are here, to show you yourself. They are here. You will see yourself in them, and they will see you in them. If I just said that right, but you get what I'm trying to say. Um, so love anyway. Be the love, be the light. Like I say, we are the generation to do this. We can do this. We have the abilities to make it happen. And I believe and have faith and trust in this process. And I believe, have faith and trust in you that you can do it. Um, so, yeah, I love you. Have a great day.